Hello everyone. Once again welcome to the guidance and counseling class. Today we will discuss about eclectic counseling, that is also one of the approach of counseling. In the previous videos we were already discussed about directive counseling and non-directive counseling. Before going to the eclectic counseling, just I wanted to give the differences between the directive as well as non-directive counseling. Comparative analysis of directive and non-directive counseling. You must understand clearly what is the difference between these two approaches. So the directive and non-directive counseling. So economical. So this is economical with respect to the time and other resources. It is time consuming, non-directive, because directions we are going to give to the client or a student. We are going to analyze everything and we are helping them to follow the certain directions or advices given by the counselor. So that's why it is said to be economical. And non-directive because it is time consuming, because of that so we are allowing them to take his or her own decision regarding to understand the problem and with regarding to the his strengths, potentialities, so many other aspects of his life, and come up with new solutions to solve. Like that we are going to give the complete freedom to the counselee. So that's why it is very time consuming. It's not so moving quickly, so the process. So the second point is that directive counseling emphasis on the problem. It is more focused on the problem rather than a student or a client, but non-directive counseling is emphasis on individual rather than problem. That is more psychological way of handling the problems, so very specific and behavioral problems with related to the child. So third difference is that emphasis on the intellectual aspects. Yes, we are keeping in that intellectual, that is more practical in nature. Whenever we are going to give solutions for a child or a student or a client, it is based on the intellectual aspects. Non-directive counseling, it is most focuses are based on emphasis on emotional aspects. It is completely emotional aspects. We are keeping in that emotional aspect of the students. The counselor is moving from steps to another step. The next another point is that difference methodology is direct and persuasive. So directive, very directive in nature. It's not like that we are hiding something and we are indirect way we are going to give directions, like that you have to follow. So the very direct and practical way in nature. Methodology here it is in non-directive, it is indirect approach. So like that indirectly we are helping them, a student, to solve his own problems. Indirective methods rather than direct approach, it is like that. So the solves immediate problems. Directive approach, of course it is very directive and practical in nature, solves immediate problems. So it is possible to solve the problems very quickly, as early as possible, and immediately. So it deals with the self-analysis and new problems of adjustment may be taken care of. So that is what I said, it is psychological maturity can be developed with related to the non-directive approach. It cannot solve the problems, but it will focus on later upcoming maybe in future if he is getting some other problems, he can solve themselves. That type of psychological maturity it develops, so that it is deals with the self-analysis and new problems of the adjustment may be taken care of, all those things in the non-directive approach of counseling. So another difference we can analyze like this: uses psychological assessment data, may not use psychological assessment. So here psychological assessment data can be intelligence test, personality adjustment inventory, so many things you can use here. So like testing and non-testing devices, what we can say, especially with the psychological devices, testing devices, personality, Eysenck personality test, whether you have to find out whether introvert, extrovert, or some other thing, so we can find out. And intelligence test, or you can use achievement test. So all these comes under the psychological assessment data you can use to provide the solutions for a child or a client. But in a non-directive approach may not use psychological assessment. The way thing is that we can go with the observation. Observation is very keen. What about the case study? So along with the case study, observation we have to do with the different circumstances about an individual, how he is doing, all those things. Very sensitively we can take care of all those things when we are going to provide a counseling to the client in a non-directive counseling. So these are the few differences. Let's move on to the another differences of directive as well as non-directive counseling. Counselor plays an active role, as already I have told, in the directive counseling, because he has to take initiation, all those things. He will the person who initiates counseling and analyzes the problem and list out the solutions and identifies the potentialities of an individual, and also he matches with the what are the solutions match with the individual. He will give the solution to the problem to a client, so that the client can come up with a good way to solve his or her own problems. But here counselor plays a passive role. It's not like that passive exactly what we are saying. If it is become passive, the process cannot move, isn't it? Passive in the sense it is the he has to provide all those facilities and that type of conducive environment the counselor is going to provide during that counseling process at that time. So he after providing all those things, counselor become passive until the client has to think and understand and analyze his own problem, and he has to understand clearly what he wants to do and what are the things he wants to do. So after analyzing all those things, he can contact or interact with the counselor. Until that, he will become passive. In that sense, it is said to be a counselor plays a passive role in the non-directive counseling approach. It is said to be like that. It's not like that passive mean the sense it is completely passive. Another difference is that direct counseling sometimes may be done by supporting staff. Yes, you can take an help of when you are providing directive counseling at the school level. It is most suitable, I think. Lower primary, it is going to be very suitable. At the some are the other cases, general common problems can be solved with related to the secondary school students also. So you can take the support from other staffs, class teacher, other subject teachers, headmasters. So you can take and help, so that you can collect the data and you can help them analyze the root cause of the problem, and you can provide the relevant advice or a suggestion or a solution to the problem. But here it is non-directive. When we are coming to this approach, a highly professional, competent and trained person with understanding of relationship skill is required. Is completely based on, this is like therapeutic type. This is like therapeutic and trained person with understanding of relationship skills, it is required. So this is very important. Here it is when we are coming to the way of approach of counseling compared to the directive as well as non-directive. Another difference is that after analysis, help is offered by counselor to take decisions. Yes, the counselor decides. So that is what decision the client has to take, which are going to be useful. He will give the list of client takes his own decision. So here it is client he has to take his own decision in which way he wants to go, like that. Okay, so the next difference is that it is more information giving. Rapport information is not that significant. It is more information giving, because the counselor thinks like that he will be the experienced one and competent enough, so that he can give everything. It's going to be suitable for a student to solve his or own problems. But here it is what happens, it is not, it is to develop self insight and more towards solving the personal problems. Rapport for formation is very essential. Here it is more informative rather than rapport formation. That means more interaction between the counselor and counselor. It is not necessary in a different sittings. But in the non-directive approach, in the different sittings, they can solve their problems like that. That is a major difference. Common problems like that you can conclude like that for which type of age group it is going to be suitable, and where it exactly works out. Non-directive counseling, it is completely useful for the lower classes, I think, because they are not that much of maturity level they are having and IQ, and because of such things we can give the directive counseling way, the counseling to the students. That is most important. And some general common problems like what we can take, for example, how to face a board examination, competitive examination, health and hygiene and responsibilities, developing a good habits. By taking general common problems, so we can identify and we can provide directive approach, isn't it? That is going to be suitable for the all the most of the students. But here it is when a non-directive approach, it is going to be useful for the some students. They are having a very specific issues and very specific behavioral problems if they are having. So then it is going to be work out there if they are very sensitive and also matured sometimes. In that cases it can be useful. For higher secondary school level it is going to be useful. These are the few differences about directive as well as non-directive counseling. Apart from that also you can quote so many differences when you are going through the concept of directive as well as non-directive counseling. Next move on to the another type of counseling, third one, that is eclectic counseling. This is the third one, eclectic counseling. This is one. Yes. The third approach. So first one, it is directive. We have to give directions to the client. Non-directive, directions not given by the counselor. The directions has to be selected by the client only, himself or herself. The third one, what it is actually, which approach? Yes. So the concept of eclectic counseling. Eclectic counseling is defined as the synthesis and combination of directive and non-directive counseling. Yes, it is a synthesis. So, combination of both the things. So, some of the merits are also with the directive and some of the merits with the non-directive also. We will take those benefits and merits and we will combine together. That will makes the combination of directive as well as non-directive counseling, that termed as eclectic counseling. Synthesis means combining, mixing together, relevant. It's not just mixing, it is very systematic way of mixing the aspects of or steps of directive as well as non-directive counseling. It represents a middle status between the two extremes represented by the non-directive technique on one hand and the directive technique on the other. In eclectic counseling, the counselor is neither too active as in the directive counseling nor too passive as in the non-directive counseling. So he just follows the middle path between these two. Yes, it is a balance between the directive as well as non-directive counseling. It's neither it is completely follows a directive nor completely follows the non-directive counseling. It is a middle way. So what it say, so it is in between them. In between them it balances all the aspects of directive as well as non-directive counseling. In eclectic counseling, the needs of a person and his personality are studied by the counselor. Yes, needs of a person and his personality. It is most important. The personality of an individual, when you are understanding very clearly, then it is possible to give whether you can give directive as well as non-directive. That is most important thing, I think. So if you are understanding clearly the person, those who need counseling process, isn't it? Counseling, they require the needy people. If you understand very clearly about his or her personality, it is possible to provide a suitable counseling. So for example, in secondary school al maklu sakashtu jana irtare, when they are asking some because of some problems, they require counseling. So unless of knowing himself or herself, it is not possible to provide a suitable counseling. So that's the most important thing here. After this, the counselor selects those techniques which will be useful for the person. The main techniques used are reassurance giving information, case history, testing, etc. All these techniques can be used when we are providing eclectic counseling also. Okay, assumptions of eclectic counseling. What are the assumptions? On which assumptions the eclectic counseling the process has to be moves. In general, passive methods should be used whenever possible. Active methods may be used with specific indications. Active methods nothing but directive. Passive methods non-direct. So whenever it is necessary, you have to think which way you have to move. So which direction, at what point you are going to use that one or this one. In the early stages, when the client is telling his history, passive techniques are usually the methods of choice. This permits emotional release. That is a one thing. I think ತುಂಬ ಯೂಸ್ಫುಲ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ವಿತೌಟ್ ಎನಿ showing disturbances or helping a client to express his own feelings, what he wants to express. At the beginning stage, it is going to be useful according to the eclectic counseling. ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಏನಾದರೂ ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಉಳಿದಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಹೇಳದೇ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ನಿಮಗೆ ಆಗಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಲೈಫಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ಇನ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಮೇ ಬಿ ಅದು ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಹರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ಬೋದು ಎಮೋಷ್ನಲಿ, ಇನ್ನಾದರೂ ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ವೇನಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ. ಆ ಹರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರೋ ಅಂಥ ಅಂಶನ ಹಾಗೇ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಯು ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್. ಬಟ್ ಹಾಗೆ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಕಾಸಸ್ ಸಮ್ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್. ಎಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ಅದನ್ನು ತಲೆಭಾರ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕರಿತೀವಲ್ಲ ಹಾಗೆ. whenever we are expressing with those feelings to in front of the someone, so we can feel like it's a relaxed position, isn't it? ತುಂಬ ರಿಲ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಆದಂಗೆ ಅನಿಸ್ತೀವಿ, ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದರೆ ತಲೆಭಾರ ಅಂತ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅದು ಹಾಗೇ ಕೊರಿತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಅದು ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಸ್ಸನ್ನು ಕಾಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಇದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಬಿಗಿನಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ಆಗಿ ನಾನ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಅಪ್ರೋಚ್ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರೆಲ್ಲ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಒನ್ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಗಿವ್ಸ್ ಇಂಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ ದ ಬಿಗ್ ರಿಲೀಫ್, ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋಂಥ ಉಪಯೋಗ ಕೂಡ ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು ಅನ್ನೋದು. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಥಿಂಗ್. ಸೊ ಅಟ್ ದ ಅರ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ until simple methods have failed, complicated methods should not be attempted. This is another. So simple methods fail ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಕಾಂಪ್ಲಿಕೇಟೆಡ್ ಮೆಥಡ್ಸನ್ನು ಅಟೆಂಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಬೇಡ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಥಿಂಗ್. ಅಸಂಪ್ಷನ್ ಆಲ್ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲಿಂಗ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಕ್ಲೈಂಟ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಡ್. ಇದು ಮೇನ್ ಫೋಕಸ್, ಕ್ಲೈಂಟ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಡೇ ಆಗಿರಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋಂಥದ್ದು, ರ್ಯಾದರ್ ದೆನ್ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲರ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಡ್. ಹೌ he is moving, what type of the problems he is having, age group, you consider all those things, then you can decide ಯಾವುದು ಸೂಟಬಲ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ಸ್ ವೈ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಲೈಂಟ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಡ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಎವ್ರಿ ಕ್ಲೈಂಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಗಿವನ್ ಎನ್ ಅಪಾರ್ಚುನಿಟಿ ಟು ರಿಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಈಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ಇಂಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ. Inability of the client to progress through the therapy as using passive methods alone is an indication for utilizing more directive methods. So there you can use. So that's why it is a combination of both. I have earlier, it is a synthesis of directive as well as non-directive, because of ಫಸ್ಟಿಗೆ ನೀವು ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ಮೆಥಡಲ್ಲೇ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಇಫ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ರೆಡಿ ಟು ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಈಸ್ ಓನ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್, ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ಸ್ ತೊಗೊಳ್ಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಅಥವಾ ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದನ್ನು ಫಾಲೋ ಅಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನೀವೆಷ್ಟೇ ಸಮಯ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಕಮ್ಮಿಂಗ್ ಅಪ್ ಆರ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಫಾಲೋಯಿಂಗ್, ಸೊ ಇನ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಕೇಸಸ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಅಡಾಪ್ಟ್ ದ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಮೆಥಡ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕರಿಬೋದು. ಸೊ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟು, ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಮೆಥಡ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಯೂಶುವಲಿ ಇಂಡಿಕೇಟೆಡ್ ಇನ್ ಸಿಚುಯೇಷನಲ್ maladjustment where a solution cannot be achieved without cooperation from other persons. That is true. That is a thing. These are the few assumptions you have to keep in your mind when you are going to provide counseling through the eclectic approach. So eclectic counseling. So some features about eclectic counseling. The chief advocate of this type of counseling is Thorney. So major contribution given by Thorney only. The eclectic counseling is a type of counseling which is neither counselor centered nor client centered, but a combination of both. Here the counselor is neither too active as in directive counseling nor too passive as in non-directive counseling, but follows a middle course, as earlier I said to you, isn't it? ಸೊ ನೀವು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಮಗು ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಾಗ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಅಲೋ ದೆಮ್ ಟು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಸ್, ದೆನ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋಂಥದ್ದು. ಮಿಡ್ಲ್ ಪಾತ್ ಹೋಗಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು. ವೆನೆವರ್ ಈ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ಸ್, ಪ್ರಾರಂಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ಬಿಡ್ತೀರಾ, ತೊಗೊಳ್ಳಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿರಿ, ಮತ್ತು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಅವನು ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಪರ್ಸಂಟೇಜು ಅಂದರೆ ದೆನ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಅಲೋ ದೆಮ್ ಟು ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ವೇ ಅಂತೇಳಿ, ನಾನ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ವೇನಲ್ಲಿ. ಈ ಥರ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಕಾಂಬಿನೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಬೋತ್ ದ ಟೂ ಅನ್ನೋಂಥದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು. So the steps involved in eclectic counseling. Diagnosis of the cause. This is the first step. Certain steps you have to follow when you are adapting. It's not strictly like that because it is a combination. ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ನಾವು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಬಿಗಿನಿಂಗ್ ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಕೂಡ ನಾನ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ವೇನಲ್ಲೇ ಇರಲಿ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ವೇನಲ್ಲಿ. ಅಂದರೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಫಸ್ಟಿಗೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಕೊಡೋವಂಥದ್ದು, ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಾದಮೇಲೆ ಅನಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸನ್ನು, ದೆನ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ give directions to the child to solve his or own problems ಅಂತ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಡಯಾಗ್ನೋಸಿಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಕಾಸ್. ಫೈಂಡ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ರೂಟ್ ಕಾಸ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋಂಥದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಪತ್ತೆ ಹಚ್ಚುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಟು ಫೈಂಡ್ ಔಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ರೂಟ್ ಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಹಿಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಅನ್ನೋಂಥದ್ದು. ಅನಾಲಿಸಿಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್, ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಅನಲೈಸ್ ದ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಲೇಟರ್. ದೆನ್ ಪ್ರಿಪ್ರೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಟೆಂಟೇಟಿವ್ ಪ್ಲ್ಯಾನ್ ಫಾರ್ ಮಾಡಿಫೈಯಿಂಗ್ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್. ಟೆಂಟೇಟಿವ್ ಪ್ಲ್ಯಾನ್, ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಪ್ಲ್ಯಾನನ್ನು ಏನು ಅವನಿಗೆ ಯಾವ ವೇನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ನಾವೊಂದು ಫ್ರೇಮ್ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋ ಅಂಥದ್ದು. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ಡ್ ಆ್ಯಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ಟೆಂಟೇಟಿವ್ ಪ್ಲ್ಯಾನ್. ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಂಗ್ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲಿಂಗ್. then intervening and stimulating the client to develop his own resources and to assume his responsibility for trying to new modes of adjustment, then proper handling of related problems which may be contribute to the adjustment. Next, directions ಕೊಡುವಂಥದ್ದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. All these things comes under the steps involved in the eclectic counseling. It's not strictly followed. ಫಸ್ಟಿಗೆ ನೀವು ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೋದು, ಸೊ ನಾನ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಏನಲ್ಲಿರಲಿ ಎಂಡ್ಸ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಬಿಗಿನಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ನಾನ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ವಿ, ದೆನ್ ಎಂಡ್ಸ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ವಿ ಅಂತಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಕರಿಬೋದು ನಾವು. Okay, characteristics of eclectic counseling. What are the characteristics it possesses? Methods of counseling may change from client to client or even with the same client from time to time. So this is one of the characteristics, as earlier I said. ಸೊ ಹೇಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ಪಾಯಿಂಟಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಫಾಲೋ ಅಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದಾಗ ನೀವು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಮೆಥಡಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮೆಚುರಿಟಿ ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ರು ಅಥವಾ ಫಾಲೋ ಅಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದರೆ ನೀವು ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾನ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಅಪ್ರೋಚಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಕ್ಲೆಕ್ಟಿಕ್ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲಿಂಗ್. ಮೆಥಡ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲಿಂಗ್ ಮೇ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಕ್ಲೈಂಟ್ ಟು ಕ್ಲೈಂಟ್ ಆರ್ ಈವನ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಕ್ಲೈಂಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಟು ಟೈಮ್. ಸೊ ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಇದೇ ಥರ ಅಂತ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಡಿಪೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಅಪಾನ್ ದ ಕ್ಲೈಂಟ್ ಆರ್ ಎ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ ಅನ್ನೋವಂಥದ್ದು ನೋಡಿಕೊಂಡು ನೀವು ಮೆಥಡ್ಸ್ ಅಪ್ರೋಚಸನ್ನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅನ್ನೋವಂಥದ್ದು. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಹೈಲಿ ಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಸಿಬಲ್. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಹೈಲಿ ಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಸಿಬಲ್. ಯಾವಾಗ ಯಾವ ಕ್ಲೈಂಟಿಗೆ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿನಾದರೂ ನೀವು ಅಡಾಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಸಿಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದೇರ್. ಸೊ ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಈಸ್ ದಟ್ ಫ್ರೀಡಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಚಾಯ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಷನ್ ಈಸ್ ಓಪನ್ ಟು ಬೋತ್ ದ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇಬ್ಬರು ಕೂಡ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಇಬ್ಬರು ಕೂಡ ಇನಿಸಿಯೇಷನ್ ತೋರಿಸ್ಬೇಕು. ಇಬ್ಬರು, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಟ್ ಬೋತ್ ಆರ್ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್, ಬೋತ್ ಆರ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕೇಸ್. ಬೋತ್ ಆರ್ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ ಎ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್, ಬೋತ್ ಆರ್ like that active persons. They are having their own roles or responsibilities here. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಬೋತ್ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲಿ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಡ್ ಅಂತಲೇ ಕರಿಬೋದು. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಟ್ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲರ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಡ್ ಆರ್ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲ್. ಬೋತ್ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಶೋ ದೇರ್ ಓನ್ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸಿಬಿಲಿಟೀಸ್ ಹಿಯರ್. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಬ್ಬರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಫ್ರೀಡಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಚಾಯ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಷನ್ ಈಸ್ ಓಪನ್ ಟು ಬೋತ್ ದ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲಿ. ದಟ್ಸ್ ವೈ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಎ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲರ್ ಆ್ಯಸ್ ವೆಲ್ ಆಸ್ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲಿ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಡ್ ಅಪ್ರೋಚ್ ಅಂತಲೇ ಕರಿತೀವಿ ನಾವು. ಸೊ ವೆನ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಕಂಪೇರಿಂಗ್, experience of mutual confidence and faith in the relationship are basic. Yes, unless of confidence, faith, not possible to give and take, not possible give and take ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಯಾರೋ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋ ಸಜೆಷನ್ಸನ್ನು ನಾನು ಫಾಲೋ ಅಪ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾ ಅಥವಾ ಅದನ್ನು ಟ್ರಸ್ಟ್ ವರ್ದಿಯಾಗಿ ನಂಬಬೇಕಾ ಅನ್ನೋವಂಥದ್ದು ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋವಂಥದ್ದು. ದ ಕ್ಲೈಂಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದ ಫಿಲಾಸಫಿಕಲ್ ಫ್ರೇಮ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಆರ್ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಸೇವ್ ದ ಪರ್ಪಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ರಿಲೇಷನ್ಶಿಪ್. The client and the philosophical framework are adjusted to save the purpose of relationship. This is going to be useful. Client and the philosophical framework. Next, disadvantages of eclectic counseling. What are the disadvantages of eclectic counseling? Some people are of the view that eclectic counseling is vague, opportunistic and superficial. ಕೆಲವು ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ವೇಗ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಏನಿಲ್ಲ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ತಿಳಿದಂಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಅವಕಾಶ ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಗ ಹೇಳೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಪಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಅನ್ನೋವಂಥದ್ದು ಸೂಪರ್ಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ದಟ್ಸ್ ವೈ ಇದು ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಡಿಸ್ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಬೋತ್ ದ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ನಾನ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲಿಂಗ್ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಮಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಟುಗೆದರ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಡಿಸ್ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್ ಅನ್ನೋವಂಥದ್ದು. ಬಟ್ ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಹೇಳಿದಾಗೆ ದ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲರ್ ಮಸ್ಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ದಟ್ ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್, ದೆನ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಪಾಸಿಬಲ್ ಅನ್ನೋವಂಥದ್ದು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ದ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಅರೈಸಸ್ ಹೌ ಮಚ್ ಫ್ರೀಡಮ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಗಿವನ್ ಟು ದ ಕ್ಲೈಂಟ್. ಫಾರ್ ದಿಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾನ್ ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ ರೂಲ್. ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ದ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಅರೈಸಸ್ how much freedom should be given to the client. For this there is non-definite rule. This is another disadvantage. The problem with an eclectic orientation is that counselors often do more harm than good if they have little or no understanding about what is happening the client. Yes, ಅಂದರೆ ತುಂಬ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಕಟ್ಟಾಗಿ ಕ್ಲೈಂಟ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು, ಅಥವಾ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ಅವರ ಸೋಷಿಯೋ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್. ಸೊ ದಟ್ಸ್ ವೈ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ compared to the directive as well as non-directive, the counselor must be very well trained, and he is like that he has to work hard and it is has to be very systematic way. It's not like that vague. ಸೊ ಹೇಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತೋ ಹಾಗೆ ಕೊಡೋದು ಅನ್ನೋವಂಥದ್ದಲ್ಲ ಆ ದೃಷ್ಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ಸ್ ವೈ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇದನ್ನು ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋವಂಥದ್ದು. ಸೊ ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಸಮ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಡಿಸ್ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜಸ್ ವಿತ್ ರಿಗಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಟು ದ ಎಕ್ಲೆಕ್ಟಿಕ್ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲಿಂಗ್. ಏನು ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ಎಸ್ ಅಫ್ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಇನ್ ನೇಚರ್. It suits all the age group of the students, so that it is having a merits of both directive as well as non-directive counseling. Non-directive counseling, so that's why it is very important whenever we are going to give counseling. It suits, I think, all the age group of the students, whenever what type of the problems they are having, because it will shift to directive to non-directive, non-directive to directive. So that's why it is going to be suitable for all the types of problems when the students they are having, and all the type of age group of the students when we are having. So it is going to be suitable compared to the both directive and non-directive counseling. It is very practical in nature and quick as possible to solve the problems of the students. It's not like that too much of time consuming like that. It's balances both the way. So one of the thing, so but counselor has to decide among these three approaches. He has to follow directive, non-directive or eclectic counseling. These are the three approaches the counselor has to decide, keeping the certain criteria. First one, it is age group. Second one, it is what type of the problem. Third one, it is the maturity level of the students. By keeping all these things, he can choose, he or she can choose the very appropriate way of counseling method, and he has to give counseling. So then only it is going to be very relevant. ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ನಾವೇನೋ ಕೊಡುವಂಥದ್ದಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಮೊದಲೇ ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಕ್ರೈಟೀರಿಯಾಸ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಸೂಟಬಲ್ ಆಗಿರುವಂಥ ಅಪ್ರೋಚಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲಿಂಗನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೆ ಆದರೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳಲ್ಲಿರುವಂಥ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ಸನ್ನು ಸೂಕ್ತ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ಎನ್ ಅಪ್ರೋಪ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ವೇ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ the counseling so that they can solve the problems. At the secondary school level it is required, so for the so many purpose. Some of the students, they are having very personal problems, like they are not having good study habits, they are not at all interested to show to for the studies, academic side. ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಓದಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋಂಥ ಆ್ಯಟಿಟ್ಯೂಡೇ ಮಕ್ಕಳಲ್ಲಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆನ್ಸನ್ನು ಹೇಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕಾಗ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಮೆನಿ ಅದರ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್, ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್, ಕೀಪ್ಸ್ ಟೆಲಿಂಗ್ ಲೈಸ್, not becoming honest with the parents and teachers, and so many other things, and keeps telling lies. ಇವೆಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕೂ ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗ್ಲೂ at that particular age it is required. So we can change so many things. ಪಟ್ಟಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋದರೆ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಇಂಡಿಸಿಪ್ಲಿನ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಡಿಸಾನೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇರುವಂಥದ್ದು, ನಾಟ್ ಶೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಟು ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿಕ್ ಸೈಡ್ಸ್, ಈವನ್ ದೋ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಗುಡ್ ಅಟ್ IQ and other things, intellectual abilities, even though if they are having. ಸೊ ಬಹಳ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಪಟ್ಟಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋದರೆ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಕಾಂಪಿಟೇಟಿವ್ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್, ಸೊ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು. ತುಂಬ ಅಗ್ರೆಸಿವ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ವೆರಿ ಆ್ಯಂಗ್ಸೈಟಿ, ಸೊ ಫಿಯರ್ ಇರೋವಂಥದ್ದು, ಫೋಬಿಯಾ, ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಫೋಬಿಯಾ ಇರೋವಂಥದ್ದು, ಆಲ್ ದೀಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್. ಸಮ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ವೆರಿ ಫಿಯರ್ ವೆನ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆಲ್. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಜ್ವರನೇ ಬಂದುಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅಂಥ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಅದರಿಂದ ಹೊರಗೆ ಬರೋದು ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗೂ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲಿಂಗು ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ 40 ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದರೆ 40 ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್, ಬಟ್ ಕೆಲವು ಕಾಮನ್ ಇರೋವಂಥದ್ದು, ಅದನ್ನು ಕಾಮನ್ ಆಗಿ ಗ್ರೂಪಲ್ಲಿ ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಇನ್ನು ಕೆಲವರಿಗೆ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ಆಗಿ 1-to-1 ಫೇಸ್-ಟು-ಫೇಸ್ ಇಂಟ್ರ್ಯಾಕ್ಷನಲ್ಲಿ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಐ ಹೋಪ್ ಆಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಯು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟುಡ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ಲಿ ಅಬೌಟ್ all these three approaches of counseling. Very important from the point of examination, theory examination. ಸೊ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದಷ್ಟು ನೋಟ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿ, ಸೊ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸಸನ್ನು ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ನೂ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ನಿಮಗೇನು ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಸೊ ಯಾವ ಮೆಥಡಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಸೊ ಇನ್ನೊಂದಷ್ಟು ರೆಫರೆನ್ಸನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ವಾಟ್ಸಪ್ ಗ್ರೂಪಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾಹಿತಿಯನ್ನು ಕಳಿಸ್ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಆಗ್ಬೋದಲ್ಲ? ಸೊ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದಷ್ಟು ಮಾಹಿತಿಯನ್ನು ನೋಡಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಯೂನಿಟ್ 1 ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಆಯಿತು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಯೂನಿಟನ್ನು ಮುಂದಿನ ವೀಡಿಯೋದಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಇದನ್ನು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಓದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದಷ್ಟು ರೆಫರೆನ್ಸನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ.